today is Thomas Braga-Henebry. Welcome, Thomas.
Thank you very much, Renee.
Thomas is one of the custodians at the Chancery here, one of the lovely men who keeps this place running and makes sure we have heat, cool, clean places, lawns mowed. Most importantly, snow is shoveled.
Snow is shoveled, especially on the steps, especially in
Yes.
the middle of winter when
Yes.
nobody else would like to do it.
Right.
And honestly, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, well, you guys keep us safe. You keep it welcoming here, and it's a super important job. So thank you for doing it, and thanks for coming in today.
It is
so,
my honor to work in the church.
Yes, yes. So Thomas has been here a little while. How many years have you been in the Chancery?
1.5. I started last summer.
Okay, it seems way longer than that.
Doesn't it?
Yes, it seems like you've been here forever. So he has kind of some different experiences as a Catholic, and we wanted him to come in and tell us about it, especially because he is going to be leaving us relatively soon for some new adventures, which we'll talk about a little later. But wanted to kind of get his story because it is probably similar to a certain population of Catholics out there, specifically military Catholics.
Well, I can only speak from my experience, but
Yeah.
like many young men, I was attracted to the military because primarily, among other things, the challenge, the physical fitness, the camaraderie that comes with achieving something that is greater than yourself.
Yeah.
That is, it was the mission statement of devoting yourself to something that is greater than your own desires.
Right.
And I think that's why a lot of young men find refuge in the military, especially when there are certain lifestyles they come from. I was very blessed with a wonderful mother and father, devoted family, brought up in the faith. And I couldn't really find a tangible result, but the intangibles of military service are what really led me to pursue that.
Yeah.
Among a few roadblocks in the way, still was able to commission in the United States Marine Corps in November of 2018, and it was an amazing gift that that I asked God to help me obtain, and He did.
Yeah. So let's not get too far into that. Let's start at the beginning first. Will you just tell us a little bit about yourself, who you are, and a little bit about where you grew up and your family?
So we moved to Garrettson, South Dakota in 2005. I was in 5th grade.
Okay.
And we had a small acreage. It was not really a farm. It was a large garden. And a large garden is awesome.
I
loved being raised in a garden.
Yeah.
And we lived there until we moved to Brookings, and I went to school at South Dakota State. But while we were in Garrettson, that was where I was really developed in my faith life.
Yeah. Partially
from homeschooling and also having the privilege to serve for Bishop Swain when I was in high school. I was one of those servers this will be one of the seminal moments to have been right next door at the cathedral to serve for the rededication. It was an amazing experience.
I did not know that about you.
Yes.
I didn't know you served. I should have known because you have served a few times here for the Chancery.
I still have a server's eye, and I still critique all of the servers that I see at any mass I go to, and most of the time, thumbs up.
Yeah, So you spent time serving at the altar and with Bishop Swain, which is beautiful.
Yes.
So you had a pretty strong faith life when you were a kid.
I would like to say so.
Yeah. Did that come from your parents? Was it from your local parish? Where did that come from, do you think?
The answer is yes.
All of those.
Because I think a strong faith life doesn't come from one source,
right? Except,
of course, obviously, Jesus Christ. Right. But it is grown, it is cultivated. A soul is cultivated in the soil that it grows in. And I was just a fortunate soul to have wonderful soil to grow deep roots in from the faith from my parents, the faith that I grew up with my peers, and hopefully one day the faith I'll be able to share with my own children.
Right. Was it, when you were a kid growing up, was it easy to live your faith? I know you were homeschooled, so maybe it was easier
a little
than maybe some kids in public school, for instance. Is that what you found?
Well, this sort of leads into growing up, going into college, and then going into the military, where in that wonderful environment, you're not taught to have a defense ready because you're not challenged in the faith.
Sure.
And as soon as I as soon as I did enter the military, tried to have the best foot forward in terms of having that defense ready. Not in terms of everyone challenging all the time, but just being able to live out the precepts, live out the example of Christ in your everyday life. That was certainly a stretch.
Yeah.
There was something that I really wasn't quite ready for, but it made me grow deeper in the faith as a result of it.
Yeah. And you had mentioned to me, we talked last week or so a little bit about our conversation today, and you had mentioned that being in the military, that big change in your life kind of helped your faith grow, and it became more important to you. Mm-hmm. So can you talk about that a little bit?
Of course. So when I was first discerning entering the military, into the Marines particularly, I did a little bit of research and actually found out that of the 4 main branches, the Marine Corps is actually the highest percentage of Catholic denominations. Mm-hmm. Rather, there's a higher percentage of Catholics in the Marine Corps than the other branches.
Yeah.
I couldn't really say what the cause of that is, but that was just a very interesting tidbit. When I did finally enter the Marine Corps and just discover, I'm not around majority people who share my faith, and I have to adjust to that, and I have to speak as though I am the best ambassador for the Catholic faith around me. That was honestly, it was intimidating, because I don't have that support structure that I've grown up with, and I have to rely on the saints, the Scripture, the Church Fathers, and all of the contemporary apologetics that I've always been able to surround myself with and educate myself on.
Yeah, I love that. That was actually your attitude, because so many times we as human beings, instead of having that attitude, we're like, oh, hey, no one else was really talking about this stuff, so I'm not going to either. I'm just going to tuck it away.
Oh, certainly. And I am fully guilty of also stepping back.
That's
when
actually
that
good to know.
Opportunity for faith was also there.
Yeah.
And that was one of the major things. Not so much in the opportunities taken, but in the ones not taken, where you come back with those small regrets of saying, oh, this person needed this from somebody.
Yeah.
And I could have been that.
Yeah. So did that kind of play into your formation during that time, those times of where you realized you didn't, but then that you did too?
Oh, definitely. Yeah. And so going forward, I joined the military right before COVID. Right before the lockdowns and everything. And to quote however many song lyrics, however many adages it said, you don't know a good thing until it's gone.
Right.
And the removal of the sacraments was so jarring to so many of us. Mm-hmm. And that made me so much more hungry. Yeah. So much so that I was, seeking out the midnight mass that our chaplain was, putting on the down low, not breaking any rules at all.
Not at all.
But not exactly publishing very widely. Right. In order to have what is the source and sum of our faith, which is the Blessed Sacrament. Right.
Those chaplains in the military are so important, aren't they?
They are amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing
I know
men.
Father Andy Young in Brandon is a military chaplain. He's in the Marines? Or is it Air Force?
So he was a Marine. I believe now he is Air Force chaplain.
Okay. Yeah, I couldn't remember. Yeah, I knew there was
so
some
there's 3 branches of military chaplaincy. There's Army, Navy, and Air Force.
Right.
Marine Corps does not supply their own thing because they're a sub-department of the Navy.
Right, right. Those guys are super important you tell me, why are those chaplains so important to military guys?
Well, here's another funny little tidbit. If every diocese had a 1-year rotation of surrendering one of their priests, one of their diocesan priests, to any military chaplaincy, there are 600 dioceses in the U.S. Mm-hmm. Excuse me, 200.
I think it's around 200 something. Yep. I think I don't think it's 600. That would be great, but
whichever amount it is.
Yes.
If each of the dioceses surrendered one priest on a yearly rotation, there would be more Catholic priests than all the other chaplains, the Christian chaplains put together.
Wow.
There's
an opportunity.
There's a great opportunity.
Yeah.
It's a severe situation.
Yep.
And just like join the military, it's not done with, triviality.
Right.
It is a completely separate discernment process.
Yep.
And I don't fault any priest who is already like stacked to the gills with work and spiritual combat. Like that is an entirely new thing. The priests I met were amazing men in the military.
Yeah, for sure. If you just joined us, we're talking to Thomas Braga-Henebry about his experiences as a Catholic. So you're very passionate about the idea of being close to God in times of change in life, which you've experienced a couple of times at least. You're not very old, in your 20s?
I just turned 30 last year.
Just turned 30, okay.
Yeah.
So you have a few experiences like that, about to have more. So do you think, this has been your experience, that's important to be close to God.
Yes.
Do you think it's important for others too? And why is that?
The easy answer is yes, but the follow-up answer is how.
Right.
How does one grow closer to God? And that is individual to every single soul. What works for me is not going to work for someone else.
Right.
And people of a like disposition flock together. So part of the attraction to military life was the struggle, the challenge, the constant pushing of yourself. And that has to be translated in some way from the physical realm, which is the primary aspect of military life, physical readiness, toughness, being able to endure hardship, and has to be translated at some level into the spiritual life.
Right.
Praying your rosary, praying before meals, and being in those small, uncomfortable situations, like sitting down with friends when you don't normally say grace. Oh, okay, just being that, instilling that spiritual discipline is something that I have hopefully been able to translate from my own experiences, and then through that grow a deeper faith life.
Right. Do you think you had an impact on the men around you?
I would hope
so.
I
Sometimes we don't know.
Sometimes we really don't know. Sometimes that seed takes years and years to first sprout.
Yeah.
Man, I wish I'd given a better example.
You did.
Yeah.
I bet you did. I don't know you well because, of course, we don't work together on a day-to-day basis. But what I do know of you, I feel like you probably had a pretty good impact on the people around you because of your ability to just engage with people and obviously care about other people.
And to all of the young men out there, your mother's advice is almost always the best one.
Totally true.
The main credit I can give to my success and of any good example and any good seeds I may have planted in other men's souls, it is just coming back to what my mother has always said: a life lived for yourself is an empty life.
Right.
A life lived for others is the fullest life you can live.
Yeah. That even expresses itself in the work you do right now, doesn't it? Because what you do is actually for basically everybody else.
More or less.
Yeah.
It's.
You don't want to slip on the sidewalk either. But
my day-to-day work is incredibly fulfilling.
Yeah.
After the end of the day, you know what? The sidewalk is clean.
Yeah.
The nuns aren't going to slip when they come over for mass.
Exactly.
Everyone coming into the church is going to appreciate it. It's just wonderful to leave the house of God even better than how I found it at the end of the day.
It's a true service, really.
It really is.
You had mentioned that during the time of COVID, it was also a time you really needed your faith.
Yes.
Okay. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Absolutely. So in the when I first exited my training pipeline, I really entered my full term of service. That was June of 2020.
Okay.
And so that was a trying time for full core press. That was a trying time for many people, and that was a time when the sacraments were needed more than ever to give that assurance, to give that attachment, to be that rock that is immovable in our. Now, obviously, it was a once in 100-year event.
Right.
I'm
We hope.
I'm not a decision maker in those processes, and I don't hold judgment on anyone for their decisions. But it was what I needed at the time.
Right.
And it was difficult to find.
Yeah.
And on the flip side of that, that was actually a chance to attend a different sort of liturgy that I had that I normally would attend. So as I was looking around in my station at that time, the only thing that was available was a Ukrainian Catholic church, full communion with Rome, but a very different experience.
Yeah.
And it was absolutely
beautiful,
glorious, and amazing. And partially of that was because it was so new and different.
Right.
But as far as how the faith grows in times of restriction, in times of trial, that is when it either, and I'm sorry, Dr. B, I don't know the scripture, but either the sun dries out the clay, or it melts the wax.
Right.
And that's a time of trial when a soul is either ready to just completely dissipate under the warm love of God, or if it hardens up because it is not ready to accept it. And I wish that everyone can become that loving receiving of God's love.
Yeah. It's really a matter of kind of that suffering that we all need. We don't like it. No one wants to do it.
No.
But our Lord suffered, and so we will too. And that actually, as you kind of really described here several times already, that suffering can bring about great formation and bring us closer in love and friendship to God.
I think it's a matter of being outside. This was a very clear example of Easter 2020, being outside the church and knowing that if I would enter it, there would be law enforcement to remove me.
Right.
Because that was the severity of the situation.
Yeah.
And that I've never in my life would I think that was the situation I would face.
Right.
Wanting to go to Easter Sunday Mass and under force of law, not being able to do it.
Right. Yeah.
Extreme circumstance, I know, and I hope it never happens again.
Yeah.
But that was a time when, I really do want this.
Right.
I really do want Jesus.
Right. I think it really brought out that desire in a lot of people.
Yes.
I really think it did.
Absolutely.
Okay, so you're about to embark on another big change in life. So
Yes,
tell us
indeed.
what's happening.
So even though I've been here a short time, I've enjoyed every minute of it. It's been an honor to work in the church. But I will be moving to Nebraska because, well, I hope it's for a good reason. I'm engaged to be married, and looking forward to starting a new life, and a new family in the church.
Yeah, and your faith will be important again, I have to assume.
If I could transmit half of the faith life that I was given, I think that'll be a success.
Yeah.
Of course, we always want to exceed our parents' expectations because that's what a good child does.
Right. Right.
Even though we might, in the effort, we might fall flat on our faces.
Sure. But there's the effort anyway.
Exactly.
I assume that your faith will take a central role in your marriage.
Absolutely.
In raising the kids. So it should be a good adventure, I imagine.
I'm looking forward to it. I have many brothers and sisters and in-laws and nieces and nephews to learn from. So
good.
Here goes nothing.
You'll be just fine, I'm sure. Okay, so just a couple quick questions before we go. Do you have a favorite part of Catholicism? I feel like this is a dangerous question for you.
It's the whole package. No, it's the music.
Yeah.
It is the musical tradition of Gregorian chant, of polyphony. I have also had the incredible opportunity to sing in the schola here at the cathedral.
Oh, nice.
And it has been, I've sang my entire life, and to be able to work under Jared and all the men surrounding him, truly humbled to be able to add my voice to that.
Yeah, you and Casey have a lot of things in common there. Casey are in communications here. Okay, is there a particular saint that you turn to often?
So I was named after St. Thomas Aquinas.
Okay.
And
this makes sense now.
We'll always have a devotion to that saint. My confirmation saint was Isaac Jogues.
Oh.
And
I don't even know who that is.
A Jesuit North American martyr.
Okay.
And he survived being he survived hardship as well.
Yeah.
And upon returning to France, wanted to go back to
more hardship, huh?
New England, upstate New York, Canada, to complete his ministry to the Indian tribes in that area. And he was a martyr along with Saint Jean de Brebeuf and their companions.
Sure.
As far as what has become my favorite saint in recently, honestly, it has been Saint Joseph.
Oh, sure.
As asking intercession for the example of a good spouse, the example of a good husband, a protector, and a provider. Yeah,
as you move toward marriage, those things will shift. And just all through life, I think, who your saint is you're focusing on at the time just changes. And I think that's exactly how it's supposed to be. That's why we have all the great examples of holiness to follow. So, Thomas, we are out of time. I'm so glad you came in to talk to us before you left. I think that your story will resonate with many men, especially, and just with many Catholics in general, just going through life and trying to do the best you can as a Catholic and in impacting others. So,
well, it's been my pleasure. And another example from the gospel, the person who hides his one talent is the one who's rebuked. And if I have anything to share at all, then it is my duty to do that. And if anyone is helped by it, then it'll be my pleasure.
Yes. I think that's a great one to mention, is that don't bury your talent.
Yes, absolutely.
Thanks again, Thomas. All right. If you haven't found us already on social media, you can find us at Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, X, and YouTube at SF Diocese. And don't forget that we have a vote coming up on November 5th, so make sure you vote no on Amendment G. If you want to find any information on that, you can go to sfcatholic.org/respectlife and learn about that amendment. That's it for us today. Hope you'll join us again next week for more Catholic Views.